What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bling Talks, brought to you by jewelrybox.ai. Today we have a pretty special guest, kind of a person I've known for a while, just so happens to be my older brother. His name is Mike Haddad, CEO and visionary leader at the Diamond family in St. Louis, Missouri. Mike, pleasure to have you on today.
What's up, boss? Good to see your face. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's an absolute pleasure, and I obviously interview a lot of different people on here in the industry, and I think the community will have a lot to learn and gain from this podcast, sharing some of your insights and struggles and the things that you've done to evolve into the business. So I guess the first thing you could do is just kind of tell us the business name, where you're at, anything like that, your title, and then we'll jump right into the first question is usually the journey and how you got into the seat that you're sitting in.
Awesome. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I've seen this podcast and you recording them, and I'm just proud of you. It's awesome what you're doing. I think it's a great benefit for the industry in general. I own the Diamond family. We are 46 years in business now. Dad started it in 1978. It has grown from a small mom and pop, which was kind of how he liked it at that time. It was what he wanted it to be. And I joined the team in 2007 out of college. A whole nother story, but it's actually not what I intended on doing with my life, but ended up helping him out and absolutely fell in love with it and completely shifted the direction. And I genuinely think it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I am considered the president now. That's my title. And I'm sole owner of it over all the years of growth. It's been awesome. It's been a hell of a journey. But end of the day too, like me and you and our youngest brother, Alex, are all in the same industry. And now all have our three separate companies, but all still working together. So yeah, we can elaborate more on that. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely know you're a Diamond family in St. Louis. Told us a little bit about the journey, how you got into that seat. So I guess we could dive in a little bit further, through all of that evolution and growth. How would you say that kind of took place? I mean, I know that we
Yeah,
all started in the business. Dad started it. There was a lot of things that had happened throughout the years. So just kind of, yeah, touch on that.
all day. So one thing that is just like me and you and certain other people have a certain natural ability to attract business. So end of the day, a lot of it's a blur. In college, we were just out, or excuse me, out of college. I took the position and I will never forget. I'm like, Dad, what are you going to pay me? And he goes, what do you mean? Nothing. Like you grow the business and then you can take some of that. So that was just the right thing to say to a guy like me. It motivated me. And I basically would work throughout the days. And then that time I had the energy to go out. So we'd go to just the natural places that I liked to hang out at anyway. And there were just the right type of people to rub elbows with. And it's a pretty cool industry to be in because we're not like pushy. You just come to us whenever you need something, right? Like if I meet you, it's not like I'm selling insurance and I want to get your business today. I just want you to give me a chance when the time comes. And we sell a cool product and we're doing a damn good job at it. I'm not going to lie. I'm very proud of our products. So it just spread like wildfire in certain social circles, if you will. So really end of the day, back then, it was all word of mouth. And we did some advertising, but it wasn't methodical like we do it with you now. So we would throw money at print ads. We would have, Christmas events, stuff like that. But it grew organically on its own by flat out insane level of network. I also joined a networking group, which at that time was good for me. It was called BNI. They're still around. And I did really well in that. That's one of those things like you get out of it what you put into it. And I put a lot into it. I still have customers that come from that networking group 15 years later. But eventually it just became too much of a time commitment and I needed to be at the store more often. And my time was better used being at the store, growing the business and learning and being alongside Dad. So then as the years went by, our revenue, would just continue to grow and continue to grow. And then Alex got out of college. At that time, we needed another person and we could support another salary at that point. In that middle ground, it was still a struggle to really succeed, but end of the day, we got through it. Unfortunately, at that time was also the worst economic downturn of hopefully my lifetime, but that was the financial crisis and the mortgage crisis took place. So we have a little saying in the industry, like if you didn't sell gold or buy gold and sell Pandora bracelets at that time, you didn't survive. We did not like the Pandora path, so we really focused all of our marketing dollars into buying gold. And then we were lucky enough that a news channel, I can't remember which one it was because this is almost 20 years ago, but they did like a secret shopping thing on with like a camera like hidden in some pen, and the guys was shopping around all the gold dealers. And unfortunately, we're in a pretty shady industry. It's kind of like us and mechanics that get this bad rep, like how do you really know what they're doing to your car? And we know things that you don't know and you shouldn't know. Nobody knows how to test gold and how are diamonds really graded and all that stuff. So it was really cool to just give a fair price and get acknowledged for that. We don't try to hit a home run on people. We try to make a very small margin and just go over and over and over again. So if you went from one place and you got offered $1,000 for your gold, and then we offered you 14 or 1,500, then you go tell 20 friends, and it just grew organically. So end of the day, our God honest business model is just treat people fairly, do a good job, sell a fair price at a fair price, and deliver an awesome product, and they will just go tell their friends. Sure, we advertise, but nothing is better than a word of mouth referral. So just being a God-fearing, good business owner that actually cares about their customers and delivers a good product, hires the right people that feel the same way, treat people the same way. That's the not necessarily secret sauce, but that's what works around here and has worked for 45 years. Not one person that has ever said a bad thing about our dad. His reputation and his legacy was a great advantage for me in the industry because his name was so recognized and wasn't the biggest store, but was an awesome account for vendors to have. So they supported us as we continued to grow and grow. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that has to take place in our industry for it to look perfect when consumers walk in the door. As we continued to grow, so did our ad budget. And then it was just perfectly timed that when you got out of college, you took a career path in the marketing world, which has now transformed into Yummy. And now we have all of our eggs in that basket with you. It has been, and what a blessing that you get to work with your brothers. And what are the three things that need to happen is you've got to have marketing, you've got to have somebody here selling the stuff, and you've got to have somebody that can work on the jewelry and pay the bills and all that. And that was what Alex's role was at that time. I did the sales for the most part, and you handled getting that door to open if it wasn't coming from our own referrals. Luckily, we're also our name, not like a bragging thing, but our name's kind of a staple in our community because we have cousins and me and you, and we were out and about always hanging out. So a lot of it was just I'm going to the Haddads if I need anything jewelry related, whether it's Rolexes or repairs or selling jewelry, or I inherited something or my parents are divorced, anything that would get that door to open would just kind of organically occur because people trust us and there's really nobody that says necessarily anything bad about us. And that's one of the most beautiful things is the reviews. So reviews became a big deal for us way sooner than anybody else. You put your finger on that, and we created a template for people to write reviews for us after they purchased from us. Now it's all done digitally, but back then we would just kindly ask that they write a review. So that really got us ranking on the search engines quicker. And then that just compounds on itself. I could start crying if I read the reviews over the years because we care so much and we're so passionate. So the people take the time to say a few kind words about their experience. Not only does it make us feel good and gives us a pat on the back, but other people read that. You don't have to take our word for it. If somebody says, why should you buy from us? We'll say, don't take my word for it. Go look online.
Yeah.
So our ability to put our finger in that way ahead of our competitors has drastically benefited us. And then if you want me to get into all the actual marketing campaigns and stuff like that, but as it's evolved, there's events and all that stuff that we do too.
Yeah, definitely. So I do want to touch on each, one of those kind of separately. So definitely some good information there on how things evolved. And you touched on a couple other little cool things, the reviews and certain campaigns, and kind of started out with, hey, man, it really just became, hey, it's all about good intent, good people. We live in St. Louis. It's a pretty big, small town. And so, and then you also mentioned some of the traditional stuff we had done. I worked at CBS and in the TV and traditional marketing space, but there was kind of a time where we decided to flip that script and get into some different channels of marketing that were a lot more trackable, scalable, and things like that.
Yep.
So think we can segue that into, you know, what type of marketing channels, events, you mentioned reviews, you know, what has been the most successful campaigns, events, marketing channels or avenues, and how did they benefit you personally as a business owner? And then, of course, benefit the business. And they kind of go hand in hand a little bit in retail, you know.
Yeah, I think I know what you're asking. So one thing I have an advantage of is that I had you. I guess I'll put it that way. So when it came time to develop a budget, was I'm like, just deal with it, Anthony. Like, here's the budget, figure it out, you know. And I have that layer of trust that other people can't say that they have because their own brother isn't handling them. But end of the day, I didn't use you because you were my brother. I got a business to run, and I got to get all that mushy stuff out of my head. And you just happened to do a great job and happened to be my brother. So it works out fantastic. But you basically saw what we were doing and you're like, guys, this has to change. Like, we have to get things that are trackable. So we got out of print, which print was like this. If some magazines just stopped by, dad would just meet with that person and be like, okay, let's give it a try, you know, and that would be how we would advertise. There was nothing methodical about it. Not necessarily the wrong decision, but it just wasn't, the decisions weren't made in the right way. It was just off the cuff. So then we started figuring out what we're spending on that and cutting out some of those relationships, taking that same amount of funds and allocating it to pay per click. So at that time, the company wasn't that big, you know, and we didn't have a huge ad budget. So we wanted to make sure that we squeezed all the juice out of that lemon. So your advice was to, you know, organic stuff was great, then the reviews were awesome, and all that stuff that is free helped as well. But when we took the budget and we put it into pay per click, then you can just see exactly how many people are clicking on that. Are they coming to our website? Are they, you know, then are they then coming into the store? So we started to see this gradual, you know, that J curve that you want to see when you're marketing. And then when the budget grew, we started increasing that, because if you say I spent $10 and I received 100, all you got to do is spend 100 and you get 1,000. So it was really simple math there. But then we started doing more SEO with you, so we would come up organically with people. You know, then social media became a big thing as well too. So then we had enough money to start getting into social. What else? What else? Oh my God, YouTube. YouTube's now our big thing.
That's,
So
yeah.
we're lucky, again, like, not bragging, but I'm good on camera. If I need to do a YouTube video, we could just take the iPhone out and just go. And I can knock them out pretty darn quickly. And then your girl Yvonne, God bless her, I don't know what we would do without her, but she is so damn good at SEO and the pay per click and just maximizing that ad spend. And even this is noteworthy as well. We didn't use you for social at the beginning. Remember, we had another friend that had his own agency, and then my wife Erica worked there, and then, you know, so we did you for Google things and we used them for social. And then eventually you know, you started becoming very good at social, so we took that and moved it over to you, and then our results just skyrocketed from there. So you just know what you're doing, and whoever works for you behind the scenes knows what they are doing. I mean, end of the day, we just saw direct results, and it wasn't like the whole 2 year spiel. It takes time. Like, you told us that, but it happened way quicker. And then it became, how are we going to handle this? So then it just became at the expense of my health and my freedom. Like, it was a 7 days a week for God knows how long. So there's something to be said about good old fashioned hard work. I'm extremely passionate about it, and nobody will ever be able to say that they have outworked me. I've put in more time and energy into this than the average guy. And when people ask how you grew so quickly, I mean, some of it is like, did you just gotta roll up your sleeves and do it? And you know, when people are out partying, you've got to be working. And when people are sleeping in on Sundays, I'm here. That is still a factual statement. I still come in on Sundays and get stuff done alone. It's retail, so it's hard to get things done when the door's always opening. So I need that alone time to actually run the business. And that's been a great thing that we picked up on, is that you just have to have alone time to make good decisions. But yeah, then events. So you were, instead of throwing money at general advertising, then we came up with this mindset of events that would take place. They need an ad spend, but that also helped us with branding. So we found out that, you know, through these, like, we just had the 45th anniversary, and, you know, that was a big ad spend. Do you want me to talk about numbers at all, or like budgets and stuff?
Yeah, you definitely can. I was gonna get into those things as long as you're comfortable with them. I
Yeah.
mean, all about
So
results.
one of the benefits of throwing a budget at a campaign is like let's say for the 45th, we said about 50 to $60,000, and that should get the word out around town. And then we pray to God we get that ROI back after the event. But you can't just expect people to want to buy jewelry because you're having an event. That doesn't they want to come and support you, but that doesn't mean they need something. So what I'm saying is that that ad budget has ancillary benefits after the fact. So when you put your money out there and you make this big splash, you get the revenue from it on that week of the event where you want it, but you also get it later on. So like now it's 2 weeks after the event, and it is crazy in here because some people don't want to come to madhouses of jewelry stores where there's 100 people shopping and drinking and partying. Sometimes some people want it more private and intimate. So when they hear about us through that campaign, they'll say, "Oh, I'll just come later on, or I'll come sooner or after." And then it's not like we just disappear. We have all the other we call those pillars of our campaigns that are always stuff that we're constantly running: the website contest, jewelry repair, buying gold, engagement rings, and the little funny, quirky things that we do that are hilarious for people to click on. So when those engines are turning, and then you sprinkle in a huge budget for a event, then this whole marketing mix starts to come together. And now we've done it for so long that we know what works. It's just really simple for us to figure out how to get the door to open now because we've stuck with this. And like we tried billboards for a long time and threw a bunch of money at that. And then when you realize I could just take that same budget, slap it over here with Anthony, direct results come, it's trackable. And if it doesn't work, we turn it off and put it into the campaigns that do work. So it's just the right way to do it in my industry, in my particular four walls. It works.
Yeah, it was a great, thorough answer and a lot of good things there. Thanks for all the love and nice words. And we do a good job. We've been doing this a long time, but I think I run into a lot of different types of jewelers. And one of the things that you do well, and I see a lot of people doing this, is you mentioned getting on camera. You mentioned, these different events that we do, and that you do. A lot of them you come up with are great ideas. Sometimes it's not about buying jewelry. We don't sell t-shirts. Not every week and Friday and Saturday are they going to get
Yeah.
to come to the jewelry store. But I think the events that you've done are very community based. You're able to get on camera. You're an active marketer, which allows us as your marketing team to have stuff to continually market and things.
Yeah.
When it comes to the events, what would you say? I mean, we just did the 45th. We've done a lot of them. What would you say has been your most successful event?
Bands and Bowie
Bands and bubbly
all day.
over ladies'
Uh,
night.
well,
Well,
I guess
the
at the
45th
end,
was unique.
what?
The 45th was unique.
Yeah, I guess if the 45th was amazing. The grand opening, we had 1,500 people come here. My God, I mean, how can you handle 1,500 people showing up to a jewelry store? I mean, that's a lot of bodies in the room. But how to answer that question would be based on what results do I want. So if you're saying what's the best event, I say bands and bubbly because it is in absolute cruise control. It doesn't take much to not big of an ad budget, right? It's customers that are in the store, they've already bought their rings. We simply have a wedding band event for them. They need it anyway. So instead of coming in over a year, we jam them all in and we bring in all these extra rings and everyone gets a bottle of champagne. And so I like that event because it's easy. We just switch the date on the ad and then put the budget behind it, call our customers. We're big with calling our customers. It's not about the money. We just like calling them and having that relationship. But sometimes there is an event. So we can call and say, "Hey, Bands and Bubbly's coming up. How you been? Where are you going on the honeymoon?" We just deal with people that are nice human beings, and so is our staff. So it just works. Who doesn't like getting that personal phone call? So now we're getting into more like concierge stuff and delivering jewelry to homes and going to shows and private events and all that. But basically, I like Bands and Bubbly because it's easy, it's consistent. Our wedding band vendors are like, "Oh my God, like what are you doing?" Like, go do it again, do it again. So we're thinking about having two next year. And end of the day, it financially is extremely beneficial. 45th anniversary, totally different mindset. We want to make a big splash in our community. We want to celebrate this massive accomplishment and this milestone. We want to give back to these charities that we picked. That our 45th happened to land on the week of 9/11. So it was really a natural fit to do Backstoppers because they're based in St. Louis and we know where that money goes right to first responders. Fire department is right up the road. The police department is right up the road. So those types of people are always in here, and not only customers, but they keep us safe. So we have a good relationship with our local, I guess, safety crew, if you will. So it's nice to be able to give back to them. But from a marketing perspective, we don't expect people to buy because we're having a party. Where wedding band event, we know you're getting married, so it creates direct revenue, and all I got to do is rinse and repeat. So it's low stress, profitable, an absolute blast, and it solves a problem for people. I mean, classic existence is if you can solve a problem for people and provide a service that they need, you've got half the battle done. So it just works. And then the website contest, dude, that crushes it too. I mean, that's just one of those things where you get so much data from it and how fun it is to call and be like, hey, you won $1,000 that you can spend here. Again, they're on our website anyway, so it's not like we're fishing to them or anything like that. They're already there, and they want to shop from us regardless. So that's a great campaign. Buying gold, no brainer. We buy extremely fairly. So the more we advertise buying gold, then those customers come in, they've already shopped it. They normally come to us last, and then we give them X amount more than their previous offer. We don't know what they were offered, don't get me wrong, but we'll say our number and they'll say, oh, that was more than the last place, I'll take it. And then you just go melt it and make your profit and keep turning that money over and over again. So I think, buying gold is an absolute no-brainer. As long as you are fair with your customers, then I would recommend that mindset to anybody. The 45th anniversary, the grand opening, we did learn a lot from. That was awesome to have people here, but we had never done something on that magnitude before, and it wasn't profitable. It was after the fact because we had 1,500 people come here, but we didn't put a call to action in. We didn't do a jewelry special. We didn't, we were learning at that point, and we kind of winged it. And the videos were too long. Like we made one that was like 4 minutes, and who the hell is going to watch a 4-minute video? Now we know that we need to do that in 30 seconds and get the message across and get out of their screen and let them move on with their lives. A lot of learning over the years. Platforms are always changing. Google's always changing. Algorithms are always changing. So having a team that knows that stuff and has their finger on the pulse is important. Or end of the day, you're just wasting the money, Christmas, no brainer. We are darn good at advertising for Christmas. So we like to always make Christmas not just about jewelry and about sales. We want it to be fun. You have all the jewelers are advertising at the same time. How can we stand out? So making something that differentiates us. We've done 10 years of Wish for a White Christmas where you got your money back if it snowed. That was awesome. We came so close to paying it out the first time and the last time. And it was like a quarter of an inch short for the weather channel to pay out, basically, and the insurance company to pay out. So that was a blast. And then we switched it to get paid to shop, where you didn't even have to buy anything. If you just entered to win, you could get $10,000 cash. So we gave away 25 grand 1 year instead of giving the $25,000 to an insurance company. And now that's kind of evolving. So I'm a little stressed because I haven't figured out what I'm going to do for Christmas this year yet, but we will be knocking that out next week. So I'm excited to find out what's going to happen, but I think it'll just be a variation of what we did last year, just to keep us the fun and the cool and the hip store to shop at, but while also being able to deliver our merchandise and accomplish our goals during Christmas.
So I think, a main point that people really could take from that is, number one, you do got to hit your holidays. You should probably be doing some events and make them fun. I see people that it could be anything. It could be bring the kids in, ride a horse, anything to get the doors open. But then you got to have a hook, and you got to have a follow-up process, and you got to be gathering this data and building these reviews, building people that are entering to win things and be interactive. And over time, I think it's built something a lot more than just a general book of business. And a lot of that stuff kind of, I think, has to do with the culture here. You have a great team at the Diamond family. Obviously, I work with them. I see them. I know them very well. And I think having these events and a lot of this growth, and I'm going to ask about some of the growth both here on the next call, but if you could just touch on hiring and managing people and building a really strong family culture where every single person that comes into the Diamond family, whether they're seeing you or they're seeing one of the staff members, is usually pretty floored at the experience they've had. So just a
Yeah.
little bit about, culture, hiring, managing people.
Yeah, I think that's one of my greatest honors in life. I view working together with another person as a much greater responsibility than most people do. Where you work is a choice. So I say this a lot. 70% of your life is working and sleeping. Have a job that you like and spend money on a nice bed. So it's part of the game. You have to do it. Why not wake up from a nice, comfortable sleep and get your butt to work with people that you love being surrounded with? You're gonna have to do it anyway. So it's also a choice for people where they want to work. So when you choose to work for us, that is an honor. That is a pat on the back that you're even open to doing this. So I view that with much responsibility. I'm now in charge of your financial well-being. I'm now in charge of how you're going to go home and talk to your husband or your wife and how you're going to hang out with your kids in that evening. So if you can have a good day at work, you can get all these other benefits and once you leave this place. And that means a lot to me. It's not about the money. The money comes because of that mindset. So the name of the business is literally the Diamond Family. It is on the front door. It is on the building. It is not named that way because we're the Hadad family. It's because we treat a customer like family. All of our reviews say that. Like almost all of them are like, these people actually do what they say they're going to do. That's our marketing campaign. Once we changed the name of the business, probably 12, 13 years ago, then our staff knew how serious we are. Like, if you don't get that review or you don't treat them like family, I'm going to hear about it and we're going to fix that. So if you ain't willing to roll up your sleeves and put a smile on your face that day and actually give them 100%, don't show up here that day. Take a day off. You can't be perfect 100% of the time. And in our business, you have to be. We say this thing about Cinderella. If you take your kids to Disney World, Cinderella is there waiting for you. If Cinderella's mother passed away the day before, that 3-year-old kid doesn't care, folks. Like, you need to have your game face on. So leave your problems at the front door, because although we do it every day, a customer gets engaged one time. You have to know that that is one of the greatest milestones in their life, and they better get your best or I'll do it myself. That's truly how it works around here. And we all self-govern each other. I mean, it's a huge, big showroom, but it's not like a bunch of private rooms. Like, I'm in one of the private rooms now, but end of the day, if this guy comes in looking for an engagement ring, the rest of the staff can see how he's or she is treating that individual, and we help each other. So if somebody isn't vibing, not every personality matches up correctly. So sometimes I'll be a better fit for this person than this person. So we like to pair you with the right person. And then once that's done, you're part of the family, folks. So we're going to take care of you for the rest of your life. At least we hope we see you in here all the time. That's also why we focus on the bridal industry, because there are some stores that can't sell an engagement ring for the life of them. We focus on rings because then you have to get a wedding band. Then you have, nothing greater in my business than selling the ring. And then the girl's walking around with her belly when she's pregnant, and then the kids running around here, and then the kids are at Santa Claus Day during December. I mean, what else do you want in a business? Like, I just love that it's truly a part of the community, and it's a really cool industry to get into. Also extremely detail oriented, so you have to have almost a, how me and you are so OCD, ADD, can't spell Hadad without ADD. So
Mhm.
that benefits in our industry. Like, you've got to be a very big stickler when it comes to attention to detail, and I'm very big about that. So if things don't go how we want them to go, then we're not really a good fit for each other. But end of the day, we have consultants that interview people for us and bring us the best matches. When we first started growing the team, we didn't use the consultants. They came to us, honestly. Like, people would lose sales to us at whatever store they worked at, and then they would see the reviews, and we would be secret shopped. Like, a lot of stores secret shop us, and then they would just want to work here versus where they're currently working. So I view it as, if you're going to make a career change, it needs to not only financially benefit you, but it should emotionally benefit you. You need to be a happier person, and you need to make at least the same amount of money or more for it to make sense. So we started adding team member after team member. I'm proud to say that we literally don't have turnover. Like I've not had a person get fired or quit in 7 years or something crazy like that. So once you're in and you're stuck with me, and it works. It just happens to work because we become so close with each other. And, if somebody gets into a car accident or your kid is sick, or, I get that phone call from my staff and I get off my couch and go, that's how I like it. I don't know how much longer I can do it because there's only so much of me to go around. And now the staff is continuing to grow and grow. But you get the point. We truly care about them. They are my family. They're at dinner at my house. They come swim in the pool. We go to each other's events. They're at my kids' soccer games now. Like,
It's awesome.
it's an honor.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
So that's amazing, and I think tough nut to crack for a lot of businesses in general, but you can really see that in the reviews, and so just an amazing blessing to have
Yeah, and the
team, a
thank you
team
notes
of
too. Like
people
we
that
have,
are in alignment with the entire culture. So I got a few other ones that I do want to touch on. You were one of the fastest growing jewelry stores in 2021 amongst the pandemic. How did you go about that? And what would you say was probably your mindset and strategy? And there's also been some other major barriers and hiccups we've had in the business, with on the unfortunate events and things like that with sophomore year in high school, and then another, with the risks of being in jewelry. You could pick
yeah, yeah.
your thing, but I just wanted to basically ask, how did you become one of the fastest growing jewelry stores in a time like that?
Yeah, I will never forget because it was like Christmas Eve or something. And most of the jewelry stores in our industry use one software for our point of sale. Well, they just kept calling up here and they're like, keep going, keep going. I'm like, guys, I'm trying to, if you would stop calling, what is going on over there? They're like, do you not know? Like you have fastest growing jewelry store in the country right now. So it's not necessarily a factual statement because there might have been a store that grew faster than us that didn't use that software. But
Yeah.
end of the day, we're pretty darn confident because most stores use that software and it was like a 65% growth or something insane like that. So facts are, dude, when we started going into the COVID, I didn't know if we would have a business anymore. I'm like, who is going to come buy jewelry while you are dealing with it? Like, I could see no way for us to navigate through this. So and then they wanted us to close. End of the day, like businesses were literally forced to close. So me and Alex were side by side during that time. And I'm like, we're not closing. I could care less what they're telling you to do. I'm not doing it. So we just switched our website to say by appointment only. I didn't go advertising or like shove it in the news's face or something like some other people did. I just kind of went under the radar. And me and Alex just met people by appointments. The staff stayed home. We kept paying them as long as we could. And then by the time we were reopened, um, this new picture had painted itself. And it was basically that nobody could travel. So all of the trillions of dollars that went to that industry got redistributed to other people. People just didn't sit home and not spend their money. They sat home and spent their money. And it just went to other industries versus traveling. So if you could sell a car, a watch, remodel a home, um, you know, furniture, like all of these industries crushed it during that time because you couldn't travel. Love still happens. People still have anniversaries. People still want to get married. People still have birthdays. We were just there for them. And it compounded because we chose to service them when other people didn't want to service them. So we definitely still cut our hours, and we had a lot of curveballs that took place because of COVID. End of the day, we didn't want to do anything to hurt people because we really didn't know what COVID was at that point. And you got this news station saying this and this news station saying that, and a lot of hearsay. So we followed all the protocols that the CDC mandated, but we still basically, I think we closed for like 2 weeks or something. And then we came back and we're like, look, if people want to come in and they're asking for us, who am I to say no? I'm like, let's just put the sanitizer. We had those screens up, you had the masks on, kept the distance as much as you could. Nobody got sick. Everyone had a great time. And we created revenue out of nothing. And then it just took off because people would spread the word. These guys are helping out when other people aren't. And then when those gates opened back up, buddy, it was crazy. And that was one of the things that the staff themselves, I gave them the choice. I'm like, if this continues, guys, you're doing 7 days a week. We're got to stay later. I will not let our reviews go down. If bad service starts taking place, we have a much bigger problem. So we can either hire and add some people to the team, or we can rigorously work and make a bunch of money. And that's what they chose to do. And then the next year, they're like, okay, let's hire some more people. This is too hard. So then we added to the team again and again. And now we just added a few more people. It's been awesome. But yeah, that's kind of how it took place. We also offer everything. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't have that situation where we don't have what you want because we have that amazing custom process. So, but we do repair, we buy jewelry, we sell jewelry, we cut diamonds, we do appraisals. Like it's a one-stop shop for our industry. We very rarely say we don't do that. We will figure out a way to do it, or we will send you to a person that does that. So we don't just stick to what we're good at type of thing. We do a lot of things in addition to what we're good at, what we're best at, or what we're trying to accomplish. So when you're full service and you're there for them, it happened to just be this perfect storm. And then things started to settle down. Like once the dust settled and businesses went back to normal, we had already grown so much. I was scared that it was going to go back down. Like now what? People are going to start traveling again, and we're just going to go back down to this normal revenue, and then we're going to have to let people go. So really, after the COVID, episode took place for a couple of years, then it was even harder to make sure you're staying at that level or growing because you don't want to let people go. I didn't want it to be a temporary thing. So that was harder because end of the day, they just came on their own because they had all this extra income. Every business owner got the ERC funds, the PPC money. People got extra money from the government. You couldn't spend it anywhere else. You had extra money from not driving, from not traveling. So it just happened to trickle down to us. And it was actually one of the better, and financially, it was better for our industry. So I was just one of them that really maximized it.
Wow. Yeah. Those were just crazy times. It was insane. Glad it worked out. And I think a lot of different business owners took different routes and strategies. I don't think some of them never reopened, like,
Oh, you know what, Anthony? Another thing was that people weren't advertising. The same mindset. Oh, I'm so glad you touched on this. So when the financial crisis came during 2008, 9, 10, okay, me and Dad at that point were running the show, and he was scared to advertise. And me and you talked about it, and we're like, look, this is the opportunity. Nobody else is going to be spending money on marketing campaigns. So, you fast forward 15 years later, I'm like, this is going to be the same thing. Like, if we can't actually service these people, why not take the ad budget and increase it? Because nobody else is going to be advertising. And then you get to the average cost of a click and all that stuff. So we got a lot of benefit because we were out thinking outside of the box, and we were not scared to do it. Those are big risks that sometimes, don't pay off, but at the end of the day, it has seemed to work good for us. And, we also, I'm a big man of faith. I give a lot of it up to God. I'm always praying about our safety and our success. And half of it's God. I'll tell you, I genuinely believe that He's got something special for us, and we give back to Him, and He continues to support us. And that's just the way we were raised. And people can tell that, and people know that I'm scared shitless of God, and I do whatever I can to stay on His good side. And if that happens to benefit a customer, so be it. No, so end of the day, that's a lot of it too, of our little secret sauce.
Amen, amen. All right. So that greatness. So I got a couple more questions and then we'll kind of wind it down. One of them is, since you've taken over the jewelry business, you have 10x'd the sales. If you could pick 3 things that you would attribute that growth to, whether it could be staff, the new building,
Yeah,
sales, marketing, whatever.
all day I can answer that real quick.
Yeah.
Events, events, events. Okay. Having events and advertising them correctly. So the actual clienteling and getting that door to open for events is huge. That is a big reason that we're always so busy. It is a digital world. So having an amazing digital presence is absolutely key in just about anything you're doing these days. So the reviews, the marketing graphics, what you're putting out in the world for the people to see has a big benefit for this particular business. We moved locations in 2017 to this big beautiful blessing of a store that we have now. So that's the classic location. I did genuinely think that if you build it, they will come. That is not how it works. They will come, but it's like 2 years later. So I'm like, we didn't pay ourselves for God knows how long during that time frame, and then COVID happened, and then the next thing you know, we're back in the black and everything's going great. And now when we ask people how'd you hear about us, it is somebody told me, I drove by the store, or I read your Google reviews, and those are the three. Whether that's genuinely what they believe. We know from so much data that they see the ads and it's a mix that really is a subliminal way of getting people in the door, but they think I saw a review, somebody told me, or I drove by. Because end of the day, if they see the ad, they read the reviews, and then that's the last thing they remember. So they tell you, I read your reviews.
Right.
But it could have happened in a million of our other campaigns. So yeah, events, being in the great spot, and proper digital advertising.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think there's a lot of people that listen to this, and this is one of the last questions I want to ask you. Now, you've had a lot of great things happen, but I've seen you evolve from being 1-800 Mike Haddad, which I see this with a lot of jewelers, especially in retail. The strength is you're the quarterback. The weakness is you can't stop being the quarterback, and all the balls are being hiked to you, and all the linemen are actually turning around you and saying, who do I block? And so I want people who are a little smaller or more in the infancy stage of their business. And you can speak to brick and mortar, of course, because that's what you do. We do a lot of e-com brands and stuff. They're a little bit of a different evolution, but there was the individual jeweler. Then there was hey, we have to hire some more people. And that's a whole nother level of business. And then I'd like to touch on where you're at now and some of the struggles and the challenges that you're seeing now, and how you would like to see that evolve into you can just say Mike 3.0 or Diamond Family 3.0. So I would break it into 1.0, 1-800 Mike, 2.0, I have staff and we're advertising, we have engines and we have business coming in. And then the 3.0 is, damn, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm struggling with right now. And this is my plan to go through it.
Oh, absolutely. So I definitely made some mistakes along the way. I mean, end of the day, I focused so much on the business that other areas of my life had no balance. Okay. So it worked from a financial perspective, but now I am trying to focus on taking care of my health, spending more time with my family. When you've given your cell phone number out to people for 17 years in a row, that is not a healthy recipe for having a peaceful night, So I'm still learning through it. I can definitely tell you where I'm at and where I'm going, but a lot of it's a blur. It happened so quick and so fast, and it was just I didn't know it any other way. I followed what my father did and how he taught me, and it worked for him. But when you get to growing and growing and growing, you got to have more staff. Like, you just cannot handle that many people. So you'd have lines of people like waiting for me, and some of these sales take an hour. Like, we're not just going to say, hey, hurry up, I got to get to the next guy. Like, so some people just have to wait. And hiring great staff is any business, guys, like, it's your team. You are only as good as your team will allow you to be. So having the right people and the right processes is everything. So what has happened now is we've had a bunch of growth. Most of them have experience in the industry. So I don't have to teach them all the birthstones and stuff. I got to teach them how we treat people, how to use our software, and get them out breaking the mold of what they've been taught in their other paths of life and what other bosses and leaders they have had, that we have to kind of fix those and iron out those issues. So now you've got all of it culminating at the same time. The store has grown massively. The staff is here. Now what? How do I get these things off of my plate? So I retained an industry-specific consultant. I tried to get the book by Gino Wickman, Traction. Yep. We tried to use that and like actually retained an implementer. And a lot of great things came from that, but it didn't fix the problem that I needed fixed. So now we're working with a company that's called Optimal Retail Solutions. There's a consultant that comes down here 5 times a year for 2 days and is in this business. Like he is part of our fabric now. So he knows the staff. He sees it in real life. None of this zooming in. We do that too every other day, but 5 times a year he's sitting here in this office with me and talking about how things need to change. I met him from a trade show, which was in IJO, the Independent Jewelers Organization. We joined that in 2008, I want to say, and that was another great benefit for our business is, getting into networking groups and getting into forums that are non-competitive jewelers with you. IJO did that for me. It's been a wonderful blessing. I learned a lot. You can only know so much. So learning from other people, being vulnerable, that's a big key to it too. Just being an honest human being and sharing what works and what doesn't work with each other is a wonderful benefit. Even with you, I don't want you working with other people in Missouri. I say that I'm like, I'll refer you as long as you're not anywhere near me because it works. So I don't want anybody competing with me. But in general, or that I don't have to be, but in general, right now, that is my biggest problem is that I still get a lot of the questions that I shouldn't be getting. It's my failure for not training properly. If I add a service or I have a software change or something, sometimes I'll forget to relay that over and then all the questions start coming, right? So that is what we're going to start working on now with our consultant is processes, delegation. I'm so stuck in my ways from doing it for so long that it's hard for me to delegate. And now I'm learning how to do it. So little baby steps here and there, reorganizing the store in certain capacities so that people don't talk over each other and I can have alone time, I can have customer time. But for me, end of the day, I view this business as once I walk in here, that is customer time, that is staff time. If I need to do anything else, that ain't their problem. You got to come in on a Sunday or you got to come in early or stay late because I don't want to be hiding away in my office when the store's open. So now I'm just kind of learning how to navigate through all those changes. And we've adjusted our hours, stuff like that to make that conducive. So we'll never stop evolving and changing. It's just a very healthy ecosystem. And it's not something that you can just put in cruise control and leave.
Yeah, I think it's a super important question and answer. So one of the things that we've done, and I have used Traction to scale my own business from $140,000 annually to 9.2 million in annual sales. And that was impossible without traction, delegation, automation, weekly tracking across 20, 30 different markets. So these tools and these trainings really are the cheat code. You said it, training and process. Okay. The most overlooked things are the secret codes to peace, scaling, freedom, all those types of things. And so obviously, I'm on the technology side, I'm on the AI side of things. And one of the things we really have focused on throughout my entire career, throughout all my companies is not, first of all, it is results. We have to put up numbers on the board or you're just like every other agency. Number two is there's people running these businesses, and you can consider it like an engine in a vehicle. And if that engine in the vehicle is not truly happy and is not sustainably being managed, then we need to also bring life equity to our business owners, not just marketing results and sales results and things like that. We also work with protecting our business, our clients, and trying to create systems and processes that bring them life equity. And so some of the things that we're bringing to the market, obviously AI, automation, and things like that. And I think that there's a lot of mundane things that I talk to retailers and it's almost starting to get a little bit annoying because everyone's like, well, I'm so busy. It's really taking a step back to take a few steps forward. Really good example of who's doing a couple of these things is John Carter with Jack Lewis Jewelers. You go on his website. He has all of his salespeople there. They have their own calendars. He has everything kind of dialed in and things like that. So I think one of the things that takes people to the next level is number one, technology. Number two, AI is definitely, it's going to have its place. For example, a lot of your reviews, they're replied to immediately. They're done by jewelrybox.ai. No one, knows or whatever. But as far as like, if you had something to automate right now, because I just want to give an example of how people overlook these things. So if there's something that you could automate or you could identify like, hey, I need this going straight to them, or these are questions I shouldn't be answering. It could be training. Things like what is like a two bottlenecks that are bothering you or that could be automated that don't need to be done manually. It could be the contest. It could be
Yeah. So God, I could go on forever. There's a lot of stuff that's about to get
those big
automated,
two.
but sales training is a big thing. So having things done the way that I want them done is hard to implement when you're dealing with so many customers, and I'm not necessarily here to hold your hand through the process. So recording sales presentations and how I would handle a watch battery customer versus an engagement ring customer versus the 50-year anniversary or something like that. So recording those presentations on what questions to ask to get the best level of service for the best experience for that customer. And then when that situation presents itself, we can say, watch this video. Here's what you could have done better. Here's what you did great about it. So we're engaging in a software basically that has a lot of that stuff that is specific for our industry. The website contest, that is so much data that you can barely handle it. So that has to be fixed that's what we're going to try with you in the next few months is automating that with the AI software that you have because you're getting all the data and that is marketing gold. It's like a runway. We just got to walk down it now, but there's too many of these leads. So eventually I was thinking of having one of our salespeople just take that over because I like the human touch of calling and saying, thanks for entering. But is that really the wisest decision when that person could be doing something else with their time? They also might not like doing it. And I'm not saying everyone gets to do exactly what they want to do, but we try to make it to where you can enjoy your day, which goes back to the whole enjoy your career mindset. So that's going to be automated to some extent, but the winners will still be called, with a personal phone call. What else, man? There's so many different things. Payments, yeah, like
What about engagement ring bookings? Like when you guys are selling an engagement ring, is it just, hey, they come in wherever, or do you guys does everybody here have like calendars where you
So
yeah,
we all have a separate calendar, but it's not like to the public. So let's say an engagement ring appointment. That happened during COVID. We put the appointment builder on the website. So on the top left of our site, it says schedule appointment. And then you click on that, you put in what time you want to come in, and you kind of give us a description of what you're trying to accomplish that day. So some people want an appraisal, some people want an engagement ring. So then I see that, and then I look at each staff's calendar and I give that lead to somebody for them to go follow up and put them on their calendar. So that it's working, but it's not going to work pretty soon because it just keeps growing and it just is more emails for me to check. So eventually we'll automate that, and that way every single person is able to see their own respective calendar as long as I can still see them all, so I know who's with who. And some people have stuff that they want to sell, and I need that to go to another person in our store. So that's what I'm learning right now is building divisions. We do everything, but the staff isn't necessarily great at everything. I am better at certain things than other people, and other people are better at certain things than myself. So we have Todd, for example, who is just amazing at buying jewelry because he's been doing it for so long. So he can just touch it and know that it's 14 or 18 karat, like we still got to test it. He can look at stones, he can read a diamond, if it's chipped, he'll know what it's going to weigh after that. So we just made Todd our buyer, and literally today is the first day in his own office. So now he has his own office back there, and he can hide away there, and put all the gold out in a private room with the right lighting, and tell me we should keep this, we should melt this, stuff like that. And then we have, everybody else is just great at selling. We have Jonathan, who's just awesome at watches. We have Jimmy, who has like the funniest personality ever. Like if you're that type of guy's guy, you're gonna want to work with Jimmy. We have Lauren, who could sit and talk with Grandma for 3 hours if we need to. So there's all these different people, and all of them have different benefits. All of them are just so great. I don't know how to explain it. Like I have Linda, who's now running the sales meetings and all that stuff for me. So there's just a lot of moving parts. And I will say it's one of the more difficult industries to navigate through because there's so many layers to it. Jewelry repair is another animal. We've got a great bench jeweler. we're nothing without him. He's the backbone of the business, and probably adding another person in the next couple of years too for that role. I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is there's a lot of things that can be automated and at least attempted to, but every single person that walks in here is completely different. They all have different needs, and every diamond is different. Every colored stone is different. There's no way to just say, hey, I'm going to order 100 more hot dog buns. Like, they're all different diamonds. So you have to really have your finger on the pulse, and you got to be able to roll up your sleeves and do certain things over and over again. But I definitely want the marketing and the way that appointments are built and the trainings, the things that are repetitive. If I'm answering the same question over and over again, that needs to be made into a video.
Yep. Let me give you a couple things. Cool part is you can now train certain AI bots to talk like you, to think like,
Yeah,
do all
crazy.
these different things like you. The other thing that I think people kind of overlook is I could go into by the end of this right now and create how to sell a diamonds course in Mandarin language. And
Yeah.
most likely, I'm probably going to be able to write a better training, and this is going to be hard for people to hear, than let's say 20% of the jewelers out there. Why? Because I'm getting my information from every single study that's ever been done online. Now, jewelry is a little bit different because it is so complex and things like that. But I think automation is probably the most addicting thing ever. Like, I cannot imagine if all my booked appointments were an email, when are you available? Like, when people start doing that, I'm just like, oh my God, we have spent
Mhm.
4 hours in 2 weeks scheduling a meeting. It just doesn't work. Think of it as like, yeah. So all of those different things I think really bring peace and an organization and the ability to send a task, or if it's a contest and there's hundreds of leads coming in, well, if there's barriers, you can use technology to say, hey, congratulations, this, that, here's the next steps. And then if you want to have a call, guess what? You just add
Right.
task to employee to make a phone call. So all things that I think I see like in your next level of growth, being very, very available to you. And I also think super important for people who want to grow to look at time over money. Time
Yep.
is more important than money. If it wasn't, then we could spend enough money to buy back time. And I don't see any wrinkles. you know,
Mhm.
well, I guess you can buy that these days, but overall, great stuff coming to the industry, and it's just been amazing. I would like to finish off by saying if you have one tip for people out there in the jewelry industry that you would like to leave them with that would help them and help our community grow and empower each other through, there's a lot of changes in the industry right now. There's a lot of changes in the world and in business. And so if you had one tip to leave the community with, Mike Haddad from the Diamond family, let us know.
I would say, yeah, I don't need to overthink this. I got the greatest benefit from other people. My tip would be don't try to reinvent the wheel. There are other people that are in your industry, in any industry, that have already lived it, that have already gone through it. I learned the most from other friends that are in our industry. So I would get into a good trade shows or good industry specific networking groups where you are talking with people that are in your industry that are non-competitive, because then they'll tell you the good, the bad, the ugly. There are things I will say to a jeweler in Montana that I would never say to a jeweler up the road from me.
Mm,
So, end of the day, I want to protect what I've built, but I have no problem sprinkling love around the country if it helps another family. Yeah, I think that would be my number one thing. That is how I learn the most. And that can apply to any industry, not just jewelry.
that's a good one.
That's all I got, bud.
Real one. That's a good one. And actually, that's what this whole community is about. I hope people listen to this, hear it, reach out to each other. We are building a community. Thank you so much for being on. I love you. Obviously,
Love
my
you too, boss.
and if anybody needs to get a hold of Mike for
Mhm.
anything, custom design, in-house repair, advice, consulting, whatever, I'm sure you guys can find him, thediamondfamily.com. And Mike, if you'd like to let anybody else know how they can help you or anything you're looking for in the community, feel free to wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in giving back. So honestly, I get a great high from helping other people. So if you need me, you reach out to the Diamond Family. There's my email's Michael at thediamondfamily.com. The store is 636-391-6622. You can also text that if you need anything. As long as time permits, I'm at your service.
Thank you so much, Mike.
You
And
got
thank
it.
you for listening to another episode of Bling Talks by jewelrybox.ai. Take care.
Take care.